Yes. So we are in almost 19-20 verses per hour. Let us see how much we can. We'll try to cover, but maybe last section may remain 4-5 verses. But this is a very, very, very beautiful chapter to understand that place we are all longing for, or we are all aspiring for. And Prabhupada and all the acharyas are glorifying that place. Even the Lord, the Supreme Lord, always wanting everyone to come to, as explained in Gita's 15th chapter, first 15th chapter, mainly the spiritual world. So one of the beautiful sections of Srimad Bhagavatam where we can look up to. Actually, scriptures are compared to many things, but usually they are like torchlights. They are like mirrors. They are like also windows, as explained by His Grace Chaitanya Prabhu. Scriptures are like torchlights in the sense that the little world is a darkness. So in this world, if you want to walk any dark place, any place which is not lit by light, it's a cause of fear, right? So when we want to go to a dark place where there is no light, we need some light, just like we take torchlight in a dark place to go. Similarly, to walk in this dark place, so we need some torchlights. So the scriptures show what is this material world, what are there in this material world, how to walk through, how to maneuver ourselves, all these jungles, this forest of material existence, and in darkness. It's forest as well, and it's also dark in the night. So it's very tough situation. But when we have proper light, we can try to go through the forest paths very carefully, so that we are not bound up here, we are not caught up here, we are not devoured by animals. Samsara Gora Gahano Charato Murari. Shankaracharya says, Samsara Gora Gahane Charato Murari. Marogra Bhikaramo Mruga Parvararditasya. Artasya Matsara Nidhaga Nipiditasya Lakshmi Nrisimhamadehi Karavalambam. He says that how this material world is so Gora Gahane Charato Murari. So in that place we need to have some torchlight. So scriptures give the light to go through, and scriptures are also like mirrors. They show ourselves. Mirrors are meant to show ourselves how we look, how we are dressed. So the mirrors also show us if we have any difficulty, that part which is we are unable to see, like eyes are in the eyes. If any dust particle goes to the eye or any part of the body, we are unable to see ourselves. We need to see the mirror. So similarly, the mirror shows us who we are actually, how we are here in this material world, or what is our situation, what is our true nature. Scriptures show us how we are caught up here, how we are struggling here, and it can show how we are struggling, what is our difficulty, that which we are able to see. We can. Scriptures are like mirrors. Scriptures are also like windows. Windows to what? But through window we can see something outside. So windows to spiritual world. So scriptures are like windows to spiritual world. They show what exactly is spiritual world. Just like we are seeing this section. So Prabhupada mentions that our pictures, especially ISKCON pictures, are very famous. Our pictures are windows to spiritual world. So in that sense, this section, especially the 15th chapter, is mentioning about the glory of the Vaikuntha. So it shows the spiritual world, what the spiritual world is. So these verses will continue till 25, the verses, and then Kumaras are touched by Kumaras just by entry at the entry. After the 6 doors entry, 7th door, the Jay and Vijay stopped them, and then they became little annoyed or angry. So then they curse them. After they curse, Lord enters into that arena. Lord comes out basically from his original abode in the Vaikuntha place itself. He comes to the door, basically, seventh door, and so that is described. His appearance and his beauty, and these are also glorified. Whenever Lord's appearance, beauty is glorified, his beauty and charming nature. So they are all explained till, and also Lord is trying to give darshan to Kumaraj. The beauty is explained till that 45th verse. And then 40 to 50, when Lord appears, then the Kumaras, understanding the supreme position of the Lord, they offer prayers, 4-5 prayers mentioned in this verse. So we'll continue with our study of Vaikuntha, and then we will see Lord's appearance and the view. There are many themes Prabhupada takes up in various sections. We will also try to understand some points from Prabhupada's angle as well. Okay, text 19. Let's continue. Of course, text 19, we have seen the glories of all the flowers, how they are, though they have so much of fragrance and the beauty and the softness. Yeah, flower has all the wonderful qualities: softness, the mrudutva, and the fragrance, the scent, saurabhya, and the beauty, how it looks, softness, beauty, fragrance, and even honey itself. The taste also is there. It's in the flower, but still they are not proud. But they are apparently Tulsi doesn't have, I mean, externally so-called beauty or the kind of fragrance. They have fragrance, but there's different fragrance than the flowers. And yeah, apparently it doesn't very beautiful in that sense compared to the flowers, but still, because Tulsi is so auspicious and great in her devotion, that's why it's very much glorified. They themselves also give a lot of preference to Tulsi, and Lord definitely accepts Tulsi's devotion, and they also agree and obey or what is respect Tulsi. So that is described in 19. We continue. 20th. Yat sankulam haripadanatimatradashtayir वैदूर्यमार्कटहेममयैर्विमानैः येषां बृहत्कटितटाः स्मितशोभिमुख्यः कृष्णात्मनं नरज आदुदुर्उत्स्यमाद्यैः.
Yeah, we can scroll. Yeah. The inhabitants of Vaikuntha travel in their airplanes made of lapis, lazuli, emerald, and gold. Although crowded by their consorts, who have large hips and beautiful smiling faces, they cannot be stimulated to passion by their mirth and beautiful charms.
These verses are glorifying the amazing quality of the absorption in Krishna. So to give us a contrast, to make us understand the frequency. So these verses are spoken that they are so absorbed in glorifying Krishna and remembering Krishna. Any other thing is not at all appealing to them, even to the highest degree of association with opposite gender as well. So what the main to give us a glimpse, because we can understand that frequency only, to make us understand what is the glory of understand Nectarian, the Vaikuntha planets, that happiness and that bliss, that adoration of the Lord, association of the Lord and His Katha is so wonderful that nothing else can compare. So to give us some small understanding, so these examples or these descriptions are given, and also they are facts as well. So there is no question of any selfish enjoyment in a spiritual world. They are not affected by all this presence of any other which are stimulating in general in the material world. To give us a small understanding, they are glorified. Sometimes the examples are given just like preachers in a Christian when preaching. They have one story to inspire people to take up surrender to Jesus. If their preachers are going to coal miners, if they go to coal miners in order to inspire them to take up Jesus, they explain many things. Oh, if you don't surrender to Jesus, you have to go to dark place, hell. The coal miners, anyway, they say coal miners, they always work in dark place. They say, oh, anyway, we are working here, we don't mind. I mean, anyway, this is a dark place. So that's how they keep on explaining. Oh, it's dark place, it's very hot, and it's not at all happy place. Surrender. They don't even try to understand. Anyway, they say we are here, same place, dark place, here also, there also. So no newspapers in the dark place. And when he said that, oh, then it's so in order to give a contrast, in order to wake up them, to give an interest, so they understand. Oh, they're willing, but of course, story's point is mainly to inspire people and appropriately giving information what exactly to be given, so they could understand. Similarly here, how they are not at all agitated by
Connection is just
maybe next time it happens, maybe we'll change the net itself. Net has issue, I think. Are you able to see the screen?
yes, Prabhuji, we can now see.
Yeah, if it happens, maybe we'll change the net. So that is the point here. So Prabhupada explains the same, that no material enjoyment can this there's no material enjoyment at all. So the material opulences are achieved by materialistic persons. Prabhupada explains more about how people are struggling hard here to achieve opulences, just like Prabhupada explains about airplanes made of lapis, lazuli, emerald, and gold. Of course, I never had any kind of experience or even seen all these things, but Prabhupada explains mainly that how the material world is poverty stricken, but Vaikuntha is beyond this material world. And then he explains how there is no any kind of passion there because it's viraja, beyond viraja. Raja means passion. Viraja means that is beyond, it's negated. So that's the Vaikuntha. There is no question of any kind of passion there exists. So that's why he explains that they are because they are absorbed in Krishna's glorification. So that we can also experience here that when we are absorbed, nothing else matters. We have many wonderful experiences in our life, whether kirtan or beautiful darshans, katha. So by that we rise above all these pushings and pullings. So then text 21, service attitude of the feminine beauty of Vaikuntha, how they are longing to serve Supreme Lord. श्रीरूपिणी कर्णयति चरणारविन्दम् लीलाम्बुजेन हरिसद्मनिमुक्तदोषा संलक्ष्यते स्फटिककुट्य उपेतहेम्नि सम्माज्यतीव यदनुग्रहणे न्ययत्नः.
Translation. The ladies in the Vaikuntha planets are as beautiful as the goddess of fortune herself. Such transcendently beautiful ladies, their hands playing with lotuses and their leg bangles tinkling, are sometimes seen sweeping the marble walls, which are bedecked at intervals with golden borders in order to receive the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah. So they are always longing to serve, though there is no need to serve. That's what Prabhupada's main point in purport also. Sometimes seen sweeping the marble walls, because marble. Prabhupada explains that beautiful understanding that their service attitude is shown. They want to receive the grace of the Lord. That's the main point. They're always longing to serve, to receive the grace, and whatever service it may be. Please read the first paragraph.
In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Supreme Lord Govinda is always served in his abode by many, many millions of goddesses of fortunes. Lakshmi, Sahasra, Shambrahma, Sevyamanam, Brahma Samhita 5.29. These millions and trillions of goddesses of fortune who resides in the Vaikuntha planets are not exactly consorts of Supreme Personality of Godhead, but are the wives of the devotees of the Lord and also engage in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So, of course, these are all more details about Vaikuntha and their personalities and the relationships are explained. Very short or very small details are given in Bhagavatam. But we don't have much information about how relations exist, how they exist, and how. I also don't know. In the sense, Bharat Bhagavatamrita explains little. There, Sanatana Swami says that, yeah, there also Varnashrama exists in the sense they are there and there are brahmacharis are there and other devotees are there. These are all only to please the Lord. That's point he makes there. That's it. And how all these things happen, only when we go there, we maybe will come to know. But not much information beyond this. I also don't know. But Prabhupada mentions here, all those are not exactly like concerts, but they are like wives of the devotees of the Lord. But everyone is engaged in the service of the Lord. These are small information we have here from Bhagavatam. Also he mentions, but he mentions that there are different sections of devotees are there, variegated devotees are there, all the species are there. Just like yesterday we discussed, all the forms of life existing in this material world, just like that reflection Prabhupada many times mentions, are there, but they are all Chinmaya Swarupa, Satchidananda Swarupa, and they're all centered around pleasing the Supreme Lord, glorifying the Supreme Lord, absorbed in trying to serve the Lord, as it's mentioned here. So how they are there, that it's very, at least I could not get information how different categories are, how they all happens to be there, how they go there, what is there and all. Yeah, Prabhupada mentioned this para. Blue.
His voice is breaking.
Oh, why is it? You can read the blue one. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
I'll read Prabhuji
Hare
now.
Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Oh,
It is
continue.
stated here that in the Vaikuntha planets, the houses are made up of marbles. Similarly, in the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the ground on the Vaikuntha planets is made up of touchstone. Thus, there is no need to sweep the stone in Vaikuntha. for there is hardly any dust on it. But still, in order to satisfy the Lord, the ladies there are always engaged in dusting the marble walls. Why? The reason is that they are eager to achieve the grace of the Lord by doing so.
Yeah, any service we try to do that main ultimate purpose of us as well, that we want to receive the mercy, grace of this Prabhupada and grace of the Acharyas and grace of Supreme Lord. So that thereby we perfect our lives, anything we do. So they are ready to do any service. Generally, sweeping is considered like a very, very, very ordinary and very lowest service. Generally, to say even Krishna Consciousness Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and King Prataprudra was sweeping before Lord Jagannath, he mentions this point of about how Raja hoya karena tuchya sevan ata hoya Mahaprabhura kripara bhajan. So by seeing how King Prataprudra, though he was a king, but when Lord Mahaprabhu saw that he was sweeping the road, so he was so pleased. Kripara bhajan, he became the receptacle of mercy of the Supreme Lord. So the menial service always pleases the Lord. That means that we are not proud, but we are humble. We are humbling ourselves. That attitude always pleasing to the Lord. Pride means we are always trying to compete with the Lord at various degrees to the highest degree of becoming God. But that is always pleasing to the Lord. So that's why they want to receive the grace. And just to understand that we are also Prakriti. Everyone is Prakriti. The Lord is only Supreme Lord in a philosophical sense also. We are all Prakriti, though we are in different bodies, male, female, or whoever it may be. The soul itself is a Prakriti. Purusha is only Krishna. So we all meant to serve Krishna and please Krishna as a Prakriti. That's what mentioned in Gita also, that we are all Bhinna Prakriti me Ashtada. Jiv Bhutam Mahabhaho Prakriti. Edam Dharite Jagat. So we are all Prakriti, different Prakriti, though we are spiritual, but we are also Prakriti. And Purusha is only Krishna. We are meant to serve Krishna. But still we disobeyed Krishna and we are trying to enjoy separately from Krishna. And we are struggling here. Again, we revive that service attitude as mentioned, as it's the central focus of bhakti itself. When we are trying to improve and striving to improve our service attitude, when we perfect that service attitude, so that's how we transfer to the spiritual world where we can resituate ourselves in our original position by trying to serve the Lord. So there also service continues. It's not a means to achieve some perfection, so I will get rid of service in the final end. No, service keeps on going on eternally. So, but we are not perfect here. We are trying to perfect that service attitude. That's what Prabhupada explains. And we are trying to serve the Lord. That's mentioned here. Yeah, Prabhupada mentions that even goddess of fortune cannot be happy without grace of the Lord. Needs Lord's grace. But still, in the material world, people are looking up to Lakshmi ji only. But even Lakshmi ji is looking for the grace of the Lord. That's what Prabhupada puts a rhetorical question. So basic point is that we need to develop service attitude as well. And that's the eternal position of our living entity, Prakriti, is to serve the Supreme Lord, please the Supreme Lord. So exhibited by even Mother Lakshmi's, not exactly Mother Lakshmi's, but Mother Lakshmi also serves, and even the Vaikuntavasis, everyone is serving Supreme Lord. Even up to the menial services. That's what the main point of that. Text 21, 22. Vapishu vidrumat tatash amalamrutapsu Krishnan bitan nijavane tulasi bhirisham abhyarchati swalakam unnasamikshavaktram. Uchcheshitam Bhagavate Amatanga Yachri.
The goddess of fortune worships the Lord in their own gardens by offering tulsi leaves on the coral paved banks of transcendental reservoirs of water. While offering worship to the Lord, they can see on the water the reflection of their beautiful faces with raised noses, and it appears that they have become more beautiful because of Lord's kissing their faces.
So that they are feeling how they become so beautiful with Lord's touch, Lord's mercy on them. So Prabhupada explains the point that how about the goddess of, about the Vaikuntha personalities, they are becoming beautified by coming in touch with the Lord. So that's the philosophical point also. The more we come in touch with the Lord, the more we are beautified. Right? But these descriptions, by studying them, we don't let the gravity of material world comes on us. We may not be able to understand the frequency, what is spoken, what is described here. But that's how when we come in touch with the Lord, we are also beautified. When Prabhupada was there in the West, and when he started preaching, there were so many wonderful comments from even Western Christian preachers. How our boys and girls, they were not at all looking very beautiful. They are becoming hippies. But by coming in touch with you, by practicing Krishna consciousness, they are becoming so beautiful, so wonderful, shining. So Prabhupada, glorify Prabhupada expressed, yes, that's the process of Krishna consciousness. That is the symptom of one who is coming in contact with the reality, the supreme truth, God, Krishna especially. So the more we come in contact, the more we can become beautiful. So we are also trying to receive the Adharamrit in a different form every day, in the form of Mahaprasad. We receive Krishna's lotus remnants from his lotus lips of Mahaprasad. The more we also release that nectar, we can also become more and more beautified internally. All the contamination of the heart will be removed, and we become more and more shining in our original position as a spirit soul. And then we will transfer to this world. And we take Adharamrit and Charanamrit both daily in the form of Charanamrit in the temple. Of course, may not be possible every day to come to temple, but at least whenever we are there nearby, we always look forward to take Charanamrit. It's one of the 64 Angas, as Prabhupada Swami mentions. We respect and we honor Charanamrit and Adharamrit. Anyway, we honor the remnants of the Lord every day. Without that, we cannot sustain as well. But that has a great potency in transforming our beauty. So ugly in terms of materially we are, but we can definitely become beautified by the coming contact with the Lord in different forms. They also becoming more and more beautiful by coming in contact with the Lord. Text 23. So now Brahmaji says, though there is so much wonderful description and the glory to the Vaikuntha, but unfortunate is that people don't take advantage, or people don't listen, or don't enter into Vaikuntha. That's how he's saying in this verse. Yannam vrajantaka vidho rachananuvadhat shrunvanti ye anya vishaya kathamatighni yastu shruta hatabhagair rubhir attasharas tam stan kshipantya sharaneshu tamassuhanta. Please read.
It is very much regrettable that unfortunate people do not discuss the description of the Vaikuntha planet, but engage in topics which are unworthy to hear and which beyond one's intelligence. Those who give up the topic of Vaikuntha and take to talk of the material world
target vision of ignorance.
It is very much regrettable. All these persons don't discuss. And Prabhupada mentions about how Prabhupada takes a pointer to glorify and to pinpoint the material world situation. He explains elaborately how we are all caught up in discussing all these mundane material things, thereby welcoming the death. But those who are fortunate, they discuss more and more about the spiritual world, and they achieve the Vaikuntha planet. So that is the main point of the verse, main point of the purport, explaining about fortunate and unfortunate people. Unfortunate are those who are unable to give the oral reception to these wonderful discussions about Lord and about abode, and how the discussions during our life decides the destination after death. So what we need to discuss and what we should not discuss. Of course, you definitely read Bhakti Shastri. In Bhakti Shastri also we discuss Vachu Vegam and Sakruta Vegam, and also Atyahara Prajasa Prajalpo. And Prabhupada explains in detail what should be discussed, what should not be discussed, etc. Prabhupada also focuses on that point. The most unfortunate persons are impersonalists who cannot understand the transcendental variegatedness of the spiritual world. Starts with that one. Oh, these people don't understand what is the spiritual world, glory of the spiritual world, and the glory of personality, glory of variegatedness. So that's what he discusses in this purport. Please read the underline.
How can the impersonalist and the God philosopher think of this material world, which is full of variegatedness, and then say that there is no variegatedness in the spiritual world? It is said that this material world is the pervasive reflection of the spiritual world. So unless there is variegatedness in the spiritual world, how can there be temporary variegatedness in the material world? That one can transcend this material world does not imply that there is no transcendental variegatedness.
So these people don't understand at all. They always think that there is no variegatedness. Decides. So the discussion during this life, if they are not discussing about the spiritual world, then that decides the destination after death. They will not achieve Vaikuntha. They only rot here in this material world. Please read the last line.
Conclusion: if they are at all fortunate, they become interested in going back home, back to Godhead. But unless they understand the spiritual world, they rot in this material darkness continues.
So choice is ours. That's Prabhupada's main point. We need to make our fortune. We need to make ourselves fortune by taking to more seriously the Krishna consciousness. By understanding how these are all facts. These are not just some stories or some descriptions to pacify our mind or to give some kind of titillation to our mind. No, it's all wonderful facts which are all awaiting for all of us. So then Brahmaji glorifies the human form also. He just mentioned about how unfortunate situation those who can't hear. And he's saying about how glorious the human form, where the people are unable to use that fortunate position. He's saying about how even we also aspire for that human form, where we can achieve that fortunate position to hear and glorify Supreme Lord, even to achieve that supreme abode. From a position of heavenly planets or Devata's position, it's quite difficult to go back home, back to God from there itself, because as themselves explain in Bhagavatam that there are so much of enjoyment and other opulences it's very difficult to focus on bhakti. But still there is opportunity to practice bhakti. It's not that there is always exception for a rule, but in general, as Brahmaji is mentioning, in very other parts of the Bhagavatam also they mention it's very difficult for us. Atishay Indriyotsavat, because those planets are Atishay Indriyotsavat. There is so much of the pleasure and the levels of senses are so glorified and appreciated. It's quite difficult to focus in terms of practice of bhakti. That's what Brahmaji is explaining, the glory of a human life, and also to practice the path of bhakti. That planet Bharatavarsha is more suitable, more wonderful place. That's what the explanation of Acharyas also. Bharatavarsha, they are longing to come to Bharatavarsha to practice bhakti. That's the glory of Bharatavarsha also. 24. Ye abhyardhitam apichadam pragatim prapanna ज्ञानं च तत्त्वविषयं सहधर्म यत्र नाराधनं भगवतो वितरन्त्यमुष्य सम्मोहिता विततया वतमाययाते.
Lord Brahma said, "My dear demigods, the human form of life is of such importance that we also desire to have life, for in the human we have desire to have such life. For in the human form one can attain perfect religious truth and knowledge. If one in this human form of life does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his abode, it is to be understood that he is very much affected by the influence of external nature."
Continue.
Brahmaji condemns very vehemently the conditions of the human being who does not take interest in the personality of Godhead and his transcendental abode Vaikuntha. The human form of life is desired even by Brahmaji. Brahma and other demigods have much better material bodies than human beings. Yet the demigods, including Brahma, nevertheless desire to attain the human form of life because it is specifically meant for the living entity who can attain the transcendental knowledge and religious perfection. It is not possible to go back to Godhead in one life, but in the human form, one should at least understand the goal of life and begin Krishna consciousness.
So Prabhupada is also giving a hope that though it is not possible to go back home in one life, but it is in human form, one should at least understand the goal of life. So at least we trying to come to understanding the value, understanding, trying to take up some means to understand at least some goal is there. First of all, life has a particular goal, human form has a particular goal. At least to understand itself is a great achievement. In that sense, we are also fortunate to be coming in contact with Krishna Consciousness and Srila Prabhupada's books. At least we are trying to go ahead on that path, and we hope and pray that we continue steadfast on this path without any further diversions or deviations and distractions. So Prabhupada is explaining that it is generally it's said that it's, of course, it's not, Prabhupada is not saying that no one can go back to Godhead in one life, but no. Of course, many other statements of Prabhupada mentions that yeah, one life it's definitely possible if one is very serious. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also mentions that at least it takes generally, he says it's not a very stringent rule, but it says generally it takes 3 lives. In the sense that one life is for Namaprad, one life is for Namabhas, one life is Shuddhanam. That's how he explains in one of his books that generally 3 lives. But yeah, it depends on our desires, how intense we are in our practices, how intense we are in our endeavors in terms of achieving our final goal. So that depends.
So
But
Prabhuji, like
yes.
Srila Prabhupada once said that, that's why, at least we should come to Madhyam Adhikari. The main aim
Yeah,
is to
correct.
bring many people to Madhyam Adhikari. So I think that is the process, right?
Correct. That is a process. Yeah. At least we understand the goal. Means that we should begin Krishna consciousness. Yeah. We at least don't remain at Kanishta Adhikari in the sense of Nama Aparad. At least we come to Nama Bhas. Madhyamadhikari is also, yeah, in a letter of instruction only writes, one should try to elevate to Madhyamadhikari level, where we are trying to express our love towards Lord and our maitri to devotees, and also to compassion to those who are willing to listen and avoiding the non-envious and avoiding the envious people. At least we need to raise ourselves to that level. Therefore, one who doesn't begin Krishna consciousness in the human form of life loses his life to the influence of illusory energy. Brahma regrets the situation of such a human being. Okay, text 25. Qualification to reach to Vaikuntha. So till now Brahmaji is regretting unfortunate people who don't hear Katha of Vaikuntha, and even they, demigods, devatas, are aspiring to come to human form of life to achieve that fortune of hearing Krishna Katha, practice devotional service, and glorifying the Supreme Lord. And here he is saying now the qualification. Who can come to the Vaikuntha planets? Yacha vrajanta nimisham shabhanuvritya dure yamahi uparina sprahaniya shila bhartur shruyasaha katananuraga Vaikalya Bhashpakalaya Pulakikritangaha.
Persons whose bodily features change in ecstasy and who breathe heavily and perspire due to hearing the glories of the Lord are promoted to the kingdom of God, even though they do not care for meditation and other austerities. The kingdom of God is above the material universes, and it is desired by Brahma and other demigods.
So 2 points. That the qualification means one need to come to that stage at which we are exhibiting all the symptoms basically and externally on the body, whose body features change in ecstasy, who breathe heavily and perspiration. All these sattvic they are only can be promoted. That's what Brahmaji is saying, and they are not at all worried about all the other processes. And the place also is even geographical position in the sense it's above material worlds. That's the main point of the verse. So what do you understand when he's mentioning about what it implies? Any understanding? What it implies when he's saying that only those who develop these bodily symptoms, only they can promote it. What it implies? Changes in the bodily features imply? Any comments? Guess? So does it mean that anyone who shows these symptoms, can they go to Vaikuntha? If somebody is, yeah, good point. Yeah, they're showing crying and rolling on the ground, and they're showing ecstasy and all. Whether they also go to Vaikuntha? It seems like that Brahma is saying that one, right? So what it implies? He's saying that bodily features change in ecstasy, breathe heavily, and these are all symptoms of the person who is going to back to Godhead. So just by that, can we go back to Godhead? Any? Yeah, so as you mentioned, any further understanding, further explanation?
Shikshashtakam 7th, 8th verse. Nayanam Galadashta. That is what is.
Good point you mentioned. Good correlation. Yeah. So what does it mean? So these are all external symptoms.
So it means one who has genuinely Ashta Sattvic Vikar, only that person is eligible. That means he has gone to Bhava Bhakti stage.
Good point. Yeah, that's the point. It implies that he reached a particular stage in a bhakti, at least bhava, and top of that is prema. So then only he can, at the prema level only one can bhava level, prema level, one can exhibit these qualities, and one can be promoted to highest levels of transferring himself. That is implies internally, that one. As he mentions on one proof that Dainam Galada Sudharaya, those two verses, 6 and 7, they show the external symptoms of one who has come to that level of bhava. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions. So the external symptoms are mentioned in the 6th, and internal experience also is mentioned in 7. He is experiencing everything as a shunyaitam jagat sarvam. So at the higher stages of devotional service. So the qualification is that, but definitely we are endeavoring on the path. We are on that path. We grow gradually also, but it is the main qualification is given here. A beautiful verse of Mukundamala Stotra, King Kulshekar expresses this beautiful verse also in the same lines, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and what Bhagavatam is expressing. Shunvanjanadhana kata gunakirtanani dehe nayasya poloko gamaromaraji notpadyate nayanayor vimalambumala diktasya jivitamaho purushadhamasya. He is saying that the one who hears descriptions of Lord Janardhan, the pastimes and glories, and when we hear Shunvan Janardhana Katha, after hearing, if dehe na yasya pulodgamaro maraj, if in the body, if pulka is not happening, if our hairs are not standing in end, notpadyate nayanayor, in our eyes, Vimalambumala, Ambumala, the streams of water or the tears are not flowing, notpadyate, they are not arising in the eyes, then what is saying, diktasya moho, धिक्कार है, उसका जीवन धिक्कार है, दिक्तस्य जीवितमहो पुरुषाधमस्य. He is condemned. What a condemned life he leads. So it's a very, it's a waking up verse basically. So that's, of course, we understand it's a very exalted position, but he's mentioning how unfortunate we are, even though we are hearing Krishna Katha, and we are unable to experience the joy or ecstasy or happiness in that Katha. It's a beautiful rhetoric verse. So that's the main point of the verse, that Brahmaji is saying that we need to come to that platform in order to achieve, in order to get entry into towards spiritual world. Read the blue highlighted.
Brahmaji states herein that the spiritual kingdom is above the kingdom of the demigods. One can enter the kingdom of the Supreme Lord only when one is highly developed in desirable qualities.
So Prabhupada making the second point is spiritual kingdom is above the kingdom of demigods, the heavenly planets, etc. And now one more contrast point is making that one who developed the desired qualities is saying. See, the verse is saying some symptoms, but Prabhupada's whole purport is focused on this point, that one can enter the kingdom of God, Supreme Lord, only when his highly developed desired qualities is saying here, right now. So that's how we need to understand. It's not just symptoms. Symptoms are external things, but the qualities are internal. That's how Prabhupada is emphasizing that we need to develop those qualities, develop the internal devotional stages, go through or elevate ourselves to the different stages where we develop these qualities. So by the qualities only we can, by manifesting, developing, that means progress. That means spiritual progress. When we are progressing spiritually, we manifest different qualities. So that only will manifest as symptoms later on in terms of exhibiting the whatever Ashtasattvic Vikar. That's the Prabhupada's main point of the purport, that we need to endeavor all these qualities. Then only we can have entry. That's Prabhupada's main point, that he mentioned many varied verses also. to support, to substantiate that point. Anyone who is Krishna conscious is endowed with all good qualities of demigods. That's what he mentions, that we need to, by developing these qualities, we can enter. Brahmaji confirms here with that only persons who have developed the desirable qualities can enter into kingdom of God. So Brahmaji mentioned symptoms, definitely, but Prabhupada is going deeper and to make us understand that we have to develop that qualities, not just externally showing, just like Sahaji has mentioned, Sahaji has just show the symptoms. They don't have any internal stable qualities. So then he explains what are these qualities, where all we find, how to practice. He gives many references. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, he gives the 26 qualities of a devotee mentioned by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sanatana Goswami. Kripalu, Akruta Droha, Satya Sara Sama, Nidosha. Yeah, there are 3 verses are there, beautiful verses. I never remember, but these are all translated into different qualities, 26 qualities Prabhupada explained here. He translates everything, all the 26 in English translation he gives. These are all qualities explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Prabhupada mentions here, quoting another verse from 3rd canto, he also mentions some qualities, how one need to develop while practicing bhakti, especially. He quotes this Titikshva Karunika, that verse he quotes from 3rd canto, 25th chapter. Please read this yellow portion.
It is said there that a saintly person eligible to enter into the kingdom of God is very tolerant and very kind to all living entities. He is not partial. He is kind both to human beings and to animals. He is not such a fool that he will kill a goat Narayana to feed a human Narayana or Daridra Narayana. He is very kind to all living entities, therefore, he has no enemy. He is very peaceful. These are the qualities of persons who are eligible to enter into the kingdom of God. That such a person gradually becomes liberated and enters the kingdom of God is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 5th chapter, verse 2.
Titikshva Karunika, Sudram Sarvadegnam, Ajata Shatro, Sadhu Bhushanam, Sadhava Sadhu Bhushanam. These are the qualities explains. And then also he quotes another verse from 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, 24th. Yeah, this is also famous verse where it said that a person's heart is not changing, that heart is like steel framed. When one is chanting but is unable to transform, is unable to see the transformation in his life, then it is said that his heart is still framed, still. That he quotes to show how we need to see the result when we are chanting Hare Krishna. So these bodily changes can take place due to ecstasy when we offenselessly chant the holy names of God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He's showing how the process also. Prabhupada is mentioning that verse from 3rd canto, second canto, 3rd chapter. You might have definitely studied and went through the series of verses where he criticizes all the body limbs. I think Sukadeva Goswami criticizing body limbs of a person who is not hearing the Krishna Katha. So the ears are compared to snake holes and tongue compared to the tongue of frog. Many symbols are given to criticize in the sense that this personality is not at all willing to listen about Krishna and Krishna Katha. And then the last verse, not last verse, but that 24th verse explains the whole body, if it's not changing, then it's useless. That's how the transformation has to be seen when one is actually practicing devotional service. Prabhupada mentions that one. So then Prabhupada explains in detail also. Prabhupada goes in a very detailed manner in this verse to explain what we need to do in order to bring the change. So basically the main point comes here again. Chanting the holy names is our main process. It's not at all underestimate. And in that we need to basically guard against 10 offenses. So many places you also went through many purports many times. So here also Prabhupada quotes all the 10 offenses, a little bit explaining how we need to guard against all these 10 offenses, so that we develop these qualities and we can come to a perfectional stage where we can mold ourselves to prepare ourselves to go back to head by developing those wonderful qualities. So please read the summary, conclusion.
Here in this verse, it is stated that those who have actually developed the symptoms of happiness and tears in the eyes by chanting the glories of the Lord are eligible to enter the kingdom of God. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that if one does not develop these symptoms while chanting Hare Krishna, it is to be understood that he is still offensive. Chaitanya Charitamrita suggests a nice remedy in this connection. There it is said in verse 31, chapter 8 of Adi Lila, that if anyone takes shelter of Lord Chaitanya and just chants the holy name of the Lord Hare Krishna, he becomes freed from all offenses.
So Prabhupada emphasized the importance of the holy name, chanting Hare Krishna, and the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is quoting from Chaitanya Charitamrita also. We'll just see the few verses and then we'll go, because our entire process itself is chanting Hare Krishna, and we are trying to chant properly. So many years as well, many years goes by to chanting, but we need to also see some refinement in our chanting so that we actually progress in devotional service. But chanting is given emphasis by many acharyas, and all the acharyas emphasize chanting the holy names, either japa or kirtan, both. And in that we need to guard against these offenses. And offenses doesn't mean that it's only up to only restricted 2 hours. The offenses, if you study, they are mainly in 22 hours. The 2 hours of chanting, maybe 1 or 2 are there of offenses, 1, 2, 3, not in the sequence manner, but maybe 1 or 2 or 3 apply to the 2 hours of chanting, especially the inattention, the 11th offense is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. That may be applied to especially 2 hours. But many other offenses are majorly in 22 hours, are our attitudes, are our conceptions. So that needs a lot of 22-hour endeavor also to overcome all the offenses. But the remedy is given here, as Prabhupada mentioning. We'll just see. So here the verses lead to that one, what Prabhupada mentioned here. So Eka Krishna Nama Kare Sarva Papanash Premera Karana Bhakti Karena Prakash. So only one Krishna's name is sufficient. That's the glory of Krishna mantra. Prabhupada also translates it as a only chanting Hare Krishna. It's not just one Hare Krishna, but simply chanting Hare Krishna also is taken as a meaning. Eka Krishna Nama, not chanting any other name than Krishna's names. That is also understood, another way of understanding. By that, it's possible to remove all the anarthas. Premera udaye haya, premera vikar, sveda kampa pulakadi, gadgada shudhar. So by that, preme uday, by chanting one name also, it has the potency to give us, arise the pure love. By that, when it happens, so here is the root of prema or bhava or prema is the root, and these are external symptoms, sveda kampa pulakadi, what is mentioned by Brahmaji. So the bodily transformations are automatically manifested when one is actually situated in love of Godhead. One should not artificially imitate them. Our disease is desire. Our disease is desire for that which is material. Even while advancing in spiritual life, we want material acclaim. So this is our disease, is desire for that which is material. Even while advancing in spiritual life, we want material acclaim. So this is one of the major impediment we need to guard against. So one must be freed from this disease. So then things will start growing ahead. Anayase bhavakshay Krishna rasevan eka Krishna namera phale paiyatadhan. Only one name of Krishna. Eka Krishna is also given. A Krishna can do that. It has a potency. But we need to come to that stage where we can chant one name of Krishna. It is like just like an archer in the sports, like a Wimbledon or like a world championship. Let us suppose an archer is there, shooting arrows to the target. Let us suppose he has to hit only one arrow, right? In order to gain the Wimbledon match, or not Wimbledon, maybe it's for tennis Wimbledon, but for the world championship, he has to win. He has to shoot only one arrow, which is hitting the target. One arrow is sufficient. But to shoot that one arrow, he has to practice hundreds and thousands and millions of arrows. He has to keep on practicing from morning to night. He has to keep on practicing in his net practice. And then when he comes to game, and when he shoots the arrow, one arrow, then he can, if it gets to the target, then he can gain that championship. Though it needs one, but it needs a lot of practice. Similarly, if you want to chant the one name, to come to the one name, we need to keep on practicing chanting Hare Krishna. So we need to practice. So if it is not, then what else we have? Any other way to get the mercy? Yeah, now we come to the point what Prabhupada mentioning in the purport. Ena Krishna nama yadi laya bahubar tabu yadi prema nahe ashudhar. Even though we are taking the name bahubar, though we are taking Krishna bahubar, tabu yadi prema nahe ashudhar. There may not be prema, there may not be ashudhar. How to understand that? Tabejani aparadata tahate prachur. So we need to understand. Tabejani aparadata tahate prachur. So we need to understand if ashudhar is not happening, the cause is mentioned, the prema is not arisen, then we need to understand there are aparadas. Krishna nama bijataye nakare ankur. So because of aparadas, Krishna bij, which is given by spiritual master, is not taking ankur, it's not sprouting. So what to do? Chaitanya Nityanandena hi ye sab vichar namalaite prema dena mahe ashudhar. Oh, don't worry. Let us beg mercy from Chaitanya Nityananda. So by their mercy, everything is possible. Swatantra Ishwara Prabhu Atyanta Udar Tanrena Bajile Kabu Nahayanistar. So he is independent Lord, he can do anything. He will give definitely the mercy. But without his mercy, we cannot be liberated. No one can be liberated.
Prabhuji, I have a question here.
Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, it's a very practical question.
I was
So
expecting.
actually, so it's regarding my father. His whole life he's
Okay.
chanting Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Okay.
Okay.
So now he chants something like 20 rounds of that.
Okay.
But I am
Okay.
trying to convince him that without the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, it is
Okay.
not possible to independently take name and get some spiritual progress. So
Okay.
so the point is, somebody may be may be devoted to Lord Rama, but then they think that, oh, if we come to ISKCON, then my bhakti for Rama, well, I'll have to chant Hare Krishna. So, like, how do we, help with such people who are sincerely chanting? For many years, he's chanting Sri Ram Jai Ram 20 rounds. That is a significant amount of, tapasya, I would say. But then, but ultimately, Lord Chaitanya's mercy is required, even if he has to attend Rama. So, how do we solve this, Prabhuji?
Yeah, especially convincing superiors, that to parents is really, I can understand, because parents are parents, children are children. Though we may be 30, 40, 50, 60, still we are children for them. Whatever we were trying to say, they have different opinions and conceptions. Yeah, that's definitely we try our level best in the sense that whatever we are saying, the principle is that whatever we say, that should be encouraging to them and inspiring them. But even after trying for long, if they are unable to be convinced, we pray for them. We pray on behalf of them. We pray to Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya to bestow mercy, and definitely Lord understands the sincerity of the chanting of their endeavor, and Lord will make some adjustments in the future lives, definitely, or even in this life also, they can be perfected, because seeing sincerity, Lord Ram himself comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he may pick him, or he may make him to advance more higher stages of spiritual life. That also can happen. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Murari Gupta was so devoted to Lord Ram. So he mentioned that, yeah, you are Hanuman. That's why you are unable to give up Lord Ram's worship. This is during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what to speak of other times. So during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, there are so many devotees who are very much devoted to their own worshipable forms. Just like, I think one more devotee was there who was very much attached to Narasimhananda Brahmachari. One more is attached to Varahadev. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself showed these forms of Narasimha and Varaha to them, because they are so devoted, so dedicated in their worship. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did some kind of a trick, in the sense to show that devotion to Lord Ram of Murari Gupta. Hey, why don't you chant Krishna's name? We are all chanting Krishna's name. Then he was thinking for a whole night. Of course, you all know the stories, definitely. The beautiful pastimes, not the stories. But he said, I can give up my head, my life, but I cannot give up Lord Ram's worship. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so pleased seeing the devotion to Lord Ram. And also Rupa Goswami's brother, he was also very, very attached to Lord Ram's worship. And we accept, definitely. Everyone has their desires and the attachment to, and it's genuine attachment, definitely. It's not just for the sake of fulfilling their material desires, but they're genuinely doing that.
Prabhuji, I have one technical question here. Is that if
Okay.
somebody is devoted to Ram, if he chants Hare Krishna mantra, what will be the effect of that? Will he go to Ram?
Yeah, definitely. If he's attached to Ram, definitely will go to Lord Ram. Yeah.
Yeah, because that is what I am saying. That okay,
yeah, by practicing Hare Krishna, if one is attached to Narasimhadev, he'll go to Narasimhadev. He is attached to Varaha, Kurma, or whatever Vishnu forms, is very much. Even what to speak of, even in Krishna's also, even in Krishna also, there are so many forms. It's a different subject itself, but we should not go too much deep. But in Krishna also, there is Dwarka Krishna and Mathura Krishna and Swakiya Sambandha and Braja Krishna. There are so many wonderful, based on desires of devotees, how they grow. These are all more on the platform of after Asakti, Ruchi Asakti, at least that platform where we need to try to understand a little more. But before that, we need to stick to chanting Hare Krishna and trying to respect everyone, respect all the forms, and trying to inspire everyone to chant Hare Krishna, have devotion. So that's the general understanding. And that's my understanding also in your father case. After giving some direction and inspiration, we should not too much emphasize or too much push.
Yes,
That's my understanding.
So, Prabhuji, one thing I am thinking, if he chants the Jai Shri Krishna, Panchatattva mantra before the round, will that help in removing the offenses from his chanting of Ram Nam?
Yeah, that can be suggested. That can be. Yeah, that's a very good point that you mentioned. That you can suggest at least you can chant this. It will be good also. You can add this one. There is no need to. You can no need to chant Hare Krishna, but you can at least add this one. It is benefiting you indirectly.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes. Yes, yes. Good point. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Let us come to, but Prabhupada is very much emphasizing in the whole purport. That's why we are giving time to this aspect, because it's also crucial aspect to progress. What we are discussing, the topic itself is Vaikuntha, spiritual world and spiritual forms and experiences. But this is the route where we need to focus on what we are doing here. Okay, let us complete at least. We have half an hour. Now, Kumaras, now the whole description of Vaikuntha happened now. Sorry?
Prabhu, I have one question in the discussion we had with Ramakrishna Prabhu and you. So basically, so if I have heard that Lord Chaitanya's mercy is required if anyone wants to attend the Braja Bhav, to attend Lord Krishna. But then for Aishwarya Bhav, like to worship to deities of other like Lord Rama, Lord Nrsimha, is it required like someone who is attracted to these forms make chance to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and go to attend the Lord? But someone who is like other who are not Gaudiya Vaishnavas, so they can't they achieve the Lord and their abode?
Yeah, if they are sincere, definitely. In the sense that as essential in the sense, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is essential in the sense that how without his mercy, because he himself is Krishna only. We cannot, let us not have that kind of a distinction. He is Krishna, he is Ram only. He is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when we are saying. So that that point also we need to remember. That is not something separate.
The main problem is the Kali Yuga offenses. See,
Correct.
anybody
Yeah,
may chant Ram or Nrsimha, but the Kali Yuga offenses are so strong that there is no hope without Lord Chaitanya's mercy. That is what I was thinking.
Yeah, your point is correct, and his point in the sense that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mercy is on an additional level. It's not that what you are mentioning. If a person is sincere and he doesn't know, let us suppose he doesn't come to know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he's chanting in a very sincerely proper manner, because he Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he will guide him to come to contact with some definitely devotees, or he may reveal in different form, that is Deva. But yeah, what he mentioned is offenses. In order to remove the offenses, that person, without clearing the offenses, even any person cannot go back to Godhead. That is clear. He cannot advance without offenses. So for the offenses, one need to at least understand what are offenses. Only in ISKCON or in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, we understand at least these are all offenses to the holy name and we need to avoid them. And many Vaishnavas, many Vaishnava sects also, Vaishnava traditions also, many of them aspiring for Brahman realization, though they may practice bhakti externally. Their understanding is, we are going to Brahman only at last, everyone. So it's very subtle understanding. Very rare to see a genuine in the sense very serious personalist who is practicing chanting Ram's name, Krishna's name, and trying to serve him even after liberation. These understandings are very rare outside of Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. If they are there, just like Shiva Vaishnava devotees, if they are genuinely, they are very sincere, very devoted, then definitely they have their own advancement. But the process is there without offenses. That has to be known, that will be known, that has to be known, that has to be practiced. But by Chaitanya's mercy, it is very easy. That's the main point. Chaitanya's mercy. It's very easy.
Okay, bro. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue. Kumaras, now the situation explained Vaikuntha. Now the Kumaras are entering into Vaikuntha. Entry is explained in text 26. We just for a few seconds. So now the situation happens that the Kumaras wandering in the spiritual sky, they enter into the Vaikuntha Dham in order to, especially mentioned as the desire to see the Supreme Lord. That's the main reason explained here, that they wanted to, out of their own will, desire, that they wanted to have darshan of the Lord. and for that they are coming to Vaikuntha. That is explained here. Tadvishvagurvadikritam bhuvanaica vandyam divyam vichitra vibhudagra vimana sochi apuh param mudamapurvamupetya yoga maya balena munayas tadatho vikuntam. Read the translation.
Suryakant Prabhu?
Oh, excellent. Thus the great sages Sananda and Sanat Kumar, upon reaching the above mentioned Vaikuntha in the spiritual world, by dint of their mystic yoga performance, perceived unprecedented happiness. They found that the spiritual sky was illuminated by highly decorated airplanes piloted by the best devotees of Vaikuntha and was predominated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So reaching the above mentioned Vaikuntha perceived unprecedented happiness. They are experiencing great pleasure. So whatever they perceived, they are explained here. The highly decorated airplanes, and they are being seated by best of the devotees of Vaikuntha, predominated by Supreme Lord. That is the spiritual sky they form. About Supreme Lord, who is heading, Prabhupada explains, who is the Vishwaguru, Bhuvanaica Vandyam, the personality is the Supreme Lord. That is airplanes, Prabhupada explains. Existing, and about their happiness, about how they felt the great happiness of reaching that place, because they felt unprecedented happiness because Vaikuntha was not predominated by any ordinary man, because they are all spiritual, they are not at all self-seeking, selfish, any mentality is not there. That's why this is very joyful, very happy. That place itself is exuding with the bliss, the transcendental bliss. And then Prabhupada explains Yoga Balena. So here again Prabhupada takes to make us understand to everyone that how there are many processes of yoga, and what is yoga, what is not yoga, what is the purpose of yoga, real purpose, what is not the real purpose. This Prabhupada in detail explains how modern yoga system. He explains. It is said that sages reach the transcendent spiritual sky by dint of their mystic power. That is the perfection of yoga system. Not just breathing and exercises. They are only just to control the mind and senses. And even by the mechanical space vehicles, we cannot reach to the space. We cannot reach to this place of Vaikuntha, but only by yoga process. Then he mentions also the incident of Durvasa Muni Ambarish. How Durvasa Muni could go to by his power, yogic power, not by mechanical process. One cannot approach. So the word Yoga Maya is also used. Prabhupada explains. Yoga Maya Balena Vikuntham. So that place is a happiness exhibited in the spiritual world, and all other spiritual manifestations are there. Manifestations there are made possible by the influence of Yoga Maya. Means that internal potency, because of the internal potency, that pleasure is experienced unlimited, without any contamination of modes. That bliss, that happiness is exhibited because it's a manifestation of internal potency. That's the meaning. Okay, now the Kumaras are just came to that code, the Lord. Tasmin atityamunaya shadasajyamanaha kaksha samana vayasav atasaptamayam deva vachakshata grihita gado parardhya keyura kundala kirita vitanka vesho. Description of personalities.
Shiroman Radhika Mataji.
Hare Krishna, sorry Prabhuji.
Yes, please read.
Today I'm not able to read.
No problem. Other devotee can read.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
After passing through the 6 entrances of Vaikuntha Puri, the Lord's residence, without feeling astonishment at all the decorations, they saw at the 7th gate 2 shining beings of the same age, armed with maces and adorned with most valuable jewelry, earrings, diamonds, helmets, garments, etc.
Please read yellow portion. Purport.
And from starting this,
No, yellow portion, yellow highlighted portion.
the significance of the dormants of beings of the same age is that in the Vaikuntha planets there is no old age, so no one cannot distinguish who is older than whom.
So same age is mentioned. That signifies that one cannot distinguish who is elder, who is older, who is younger. So basically, there is no any age factor. Everyone is spiritual. Everyone is ever fresh, ever youth. So they are seeing these 2 personalities. After going six gates, they are coming to 7th gate. Let's go through the verses. मत्तद्विरेफवनमालिकयानि भीतो विन्यस्तयासितचतुष्टबाहुमध्ये वक्त्रं भ्रुवा कुटिलया स्फुटनिर्गमाभ्यां रक्ते क्षणेन च मनाग् वृषभं ददानो.
The 2 doormen were garlanded with fresh flowers, which attracted intoxicated bees, and which were placed around their necks and between their 4 blue arms. From their arched eyebrows, discontented nostrils, and reddish eyes, they appeared somewhat agitated.
So 7th it is explained about the dormants. Their appearance is explained. We will go a little faster. द्वार्ये तयोर्निमिषयोर्मिषतोरपृष्ट्वा पूर्वा यथा पुरटवज्रकपाटिकाया सर्वत्र ते विषमया मुनया स्वदृष्ट्या ये सञ्चर्यन्त्यभिर्हता विगताभिशङ्काः.
The great sage, headed by Sanaka, has opened doors everywhere. They had no idea of ours and theirs. With open minds, they entered the 7th door out of their own will, just as they had passed through the 6 other doors, which were made up of gold and diamonds.
So their internal condition, internal conception is explained in this verse. They don't have conception of ours and theirs. Read, Prabhupada just summarizes the whole thing in this purport. We can read this one. Continue.
The great sage, namely Sanaka, Sanatan, Sanandan, and Sanat Kumar, although very old in years, maintained themselves eternally as small children. They were not at all duplicitous, and they entered the doors exactly as little children enter the places without any idea of what it is to trespass. That is the child's nature. A child can enter any place and no one can check him. Indeed, a child is generally welcome in his attempt to go places. But if it is so happen that a child's checked from entering a door, he naturally becomes very sorry and angry. That is the nature of a child. In this case, the same thing happened. The childlike saintly person. Prabhuji, I'll read.
Continue.
Yeah, the childlike saintly personalities entered all the 6 doors of the palace, and no one checked them. Therefore, when they attempt to enter the 7th door and were forbidden by the doormen, who checked them with their sticks, they naturally becomes very angry and sorrowful. An ordinary child would cry, but because these were not ordinary children, they immediately made preparations to punish the doormen, for the doormen had committed a great offense. Even to this day, a saintly person is never checked from entering anyone's door in India.
So Prabhupada quite elaborately explains about taking example of a child comparing to a child. So he explained the situation, what is going to happen also in the future. Explained here. They were trying to enter, but they stopped. They became angry, and they're going to take punishment. We will see the causes also. Prabhupada explains the purport. So let us read the translations. We can say the time. Yeah, read the translation. 42 or 30th. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Jagannath went to
Maybe one devotee only. Continue.
The 4 boy sage who had nothing to cover their bodies, but the atmosphere looked only 5 years old, even though they were the oldest of all living creatures and had realized the truth of the self. But when the porters, who happened to possess a disposition quite unpalatable to the Lord, saw the sages, they blocked their ways with their staff, despising their glories, although the sage did not deserve such treatment at their hands.
So the glory of the sages is explained. Though they are the oldest, all living entities, because Jesus Kumaras are the first Brahmas, as Prabhupada also mentions. The forges or the first born sons of Brahma. They should be given respect, but unfortunately, of course, these are all under the desire of the Lord, but the Vijay and Vijay, they didn't know the glory and they stopped them. By that, they became a little annoyed. Such saints were not to be forbidden to enter the kingdom of Vaikuntha, but by chance the doorman objected to their entrance. This was not fitting. The Lord is always anxious to serve sages like the Kumaras, but in spite of knowing this fact, the doorman astonishingly and outrageously prohibited them from entering. Lord is Prabhupada explaining about from the Lord's point of view also. So here 3 personalities are there. One is Lord, one is Kumaras, one is doorman. So the dialogue and the actions are going on these 3, in between these 3. So Lord is always anxious to serve like sages like Kumaras, and they also, as doing their duty, they are supposed to stop those who are not supposed to enter Vaikuntha. They need to be screened. That's why they are there. And Kumaras, they are so eager to see the Lord. They are also not supposed to be stopped. So in the 3 ways are explained. Saints are not forbidden to enter kingdom of God Vaikuntha because of their eagerness. It's explained that they are so eager to see the Lord. They should have been admitted. And Lord is also eager to see the sages. That's how the whole situation is trying to become tense. I read the translation. 31.
When the Kumaras, although by far the fittest persons, were thus forbidden entrance by the 2 chief doorkeepers of Sri Hari, while other divinities looked on, their eyes suddenly turned red because of anger due to their great eagerness to see their most beloved master, Sri Hari, the personality of God.
So when they were thus forbidden entrance, they became little angry. Their eyes becoming red. And that anger is due to their great eagerness to see their most beloved Lord. Anger is not that they were stopped. Anger is that they were stopped from seeing the Lord. That's how it's explained. they wanted to see the Supreme Lord. That's not because their own identity. They are stopping from their beloved Lord. So according to the very system, a sannyasi person in the renounced order of life is dressed saffron-colored garments. Saffron dress is practically a passport for a mendicant and sannyasi to go anywhere. Prabhupada takes a different stance and explains how renounced order people, especially as Kumaras here, and Prabhupada takes a general stance also. That Prabhupada's mood, Prabhupada was stopped in many places. Right now, that's Prabhupada is mentioning here in third canto. It's mostly around 70s, 71, 72 maybe. So that time there were many countries that not allowing Prabhupada to enter. So Prabhupada is bringing out that fact, how they are supposed to give entrance everywhere. They are not supposed to be stopped by anyone. So that's how he's writing here. Prabhupada explains about sannyasi's duty to enlighten everyone. They are supposed to be given everywhere. Entrance should be given to them everywhere and anywhere. They should not be stopped. And Prabhupada explains about how Supreme Lord is Suruttama, best of all friends. Important. Then he explains how Krishna is so kind to all the living entities, and he's eagerly waiting for all the living entities to come back to Godhead. And that's why he's sending, he himself is coming, and he personally comes. He comes as a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he sometimes sends as some devotees, dear devotees. So basically showing that how Lord is so eager to receive all living entities as well, not just sages, but all living entities also. That's how Suruttama, his best friend, is explained. But the doorkeepers should have known that the four sages had no other business, and therefore to restrict them from entering the place was not apt. So that's how Prabhupada explains. And then Prabhupada goes into detailed explanation of what is the difference between material anger and transcendental anger. So very wonderful purports, but we don't have much time. We are running out of time. But it's a beautiful concept also. The difference between the anger of ordinary person and that of a liberated person is that an ordinary person becomes angry because of his sense desires are not being fulfilled, whereas a liberated person like the Kumaras becomes angry when restricted in the discharge of the duties for serving the Supreme Lord. That example also Prabhupada many times gives, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry to kill Jagai and Mathai, not because of his own sense enjoyment, but to protect Nityan Prabhu devotee. So that's the difference Prabhupada explains about material anger and transcendental anger. Text 32. Now the sages are not directly saying to now they were stopped. Now they are not saying directly to them, but they are talking, they are expressing their, maybe to themselves, or just expressing what is the situation, what they're feeling internally. They are saying now. Please read what the sages said. It's a
The
translation.
Sages said,
Yeah.
yes, please.
Continue. Someone read.
The
Maybe
sages,
one devotee. Yeah, maybe one devotee can read now. Yeah.
the sages said, who are these two persons who have developed such a discordant mentality, even though they are posted in the service of the Lord in the highest position and are expected to have developed the same qualities as the Lord? How are these two persons living in Vaikuntha? Where is the possibility of an enemy's coming into this kingdom of God? The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no enemy. Who could be envious of him? Probably these two persons are impostors, therefore they suspect others to be like themselves.
So now this is saying how there is a disharmony, how there is a possibility of, where is the question of enemy entering? No, Vaikuntha is such a place, there are no enemies at all, no duality at all. So these people might be imposters. Therefore, they are suspecting Atmavat Manyate Jagat, because they are suspecting that we are enemies, because they are enemies, because they have discordant mentality, as Prabhupada mentioning. and translation mentioning that these people have themselves a mentality, duality mentality. So then Prabhupada's point is that here in the material world, the citizens may be inimical to chief executives or heads of the state, but in Vaikuntha there is no such mentality. So he compares the material world mentality and spiritual world mentality of the consciousness. That's how he builds up the whole purport. One is not allowed to enter Vaikuntha unless he has completely developed the good qualities. The basic principle of goodness is to accept subordination to Supreme Personality Godhead. So this is a surprise to see that the two doormen were checked. Who checked them from entering the place, entering the palace, were not exactly like the residents of Vaikuntha Loka. So now the question raises, that question is Prabhupada raising now himself and answering here. It may be said that the doorman's duty is to determine who should be allowed to enter the palace and who should not. This is the right question. But that is not relevant in this matter because no one is allowed to enter into Vaikuntha planets unless he has developed 100% his mentality of devotional service to the Supreme Lord. No enemy of the Lord can enter Vaikuntha Loka. The Kumaras concluded that only reason for the doormen's checking them was that the doormen themselves were imposters. So because of that, they were not at fault in the sense that because once you entered into Vaikuntha itself proves that there is no question of any contamination or any other mentality. But so it supported that statement, that argument. That argument is supported that there is no question of entering into Vaikuntha itself. So they should not have been stopped. But because they have different mentality, they developed different mentality. That's why they are supposed to be punished, or they are supposed to be taken to task. Read the translation. Sorry. Hare Krishna.
In the Vaikuntha world, there is complete harmony between the residents and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as there is complete harmony within space between the big and the small skies. Why then there is a seed of fear in this field of harmony? These two persons are dressed like inhabitants of Vaikuntha, but where from can their disharmony come into existence?
Yeah. So from where is disharmony? Vaikuntha is a place of harmony. Even animals, the Vaikuntha world we hear, even all the animals are in harmony with each other, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited in Jharkhand forest. Harmony is there, everywhere should be there. Then why there is a discordant mentality? Why there is a disharmony here? How they could see in us? Why they felt the fear by seeing us? So the argument they are saying, they are expressing their feelings. Now the four Kumaras, when they were stopped. Now they express like that and they think that okay, they should be given punishment. They curse after criticizing their mentality. That's how the further events are going to happen. So Prabhupada explains about the harmony, especially all these purports. Prabhupada contrasts the harmony of the spiritual world and the things of this material world. And he gives example of how criminal department and civil department comparing to prison and government, material world and spiritual world, how they have to be in harmony. And he explains more details on this aspect. There are beautiful purports. Maybe you have to go through. It's not possible to read all. Prabhupada gives many examples also how harmony has to be there, just like the body, all the bodily parts are in harmony with stomach. And also the machine parts has to run in harmony in order to bring out function. Similarly, all the aspects are in harmony in the spiritual world, are in harmony. There is no disharmony at all. So that's how he explains. And then he explains about Mayavadi philosophy of big sky and small sky as mentioned by them. There is no question of any harmony in the material world, but there is a harmony in terms of big sky and small sky explained here. Just as there is this complete harmony between space between big sky and small skies. In the sense, Prabhupada gives example to make us understand, just like the body. He gives the example of big sky and small skies is also applicable within person's body. The big sky is the body itself, and the intestines and other parts of the body occupy the small sky. So because they have their harmony, they go together. That's how everything should be seen. But similarly, they are individual also. That's Prabhupada's main point. Though there is a harmony between big sky and small sky, but they cannot become one. Mayavadis say that they are all one. But it's not like that. That's Prabhupada's argument to defeat them. There is harmony, but at the same time, they are individual. Then more of harmony, disharmony, Prabhupada explains, because of a rebellious condition prevails in the material world. We will continue in this material world as long as we have this rebellious mentality, and thereby the disharmony, which is a result of that rebellious mentality. So the conclusion Prabhupada gives that if the same principles can be adopted here, wholly or partially, what are the same principles of the harmony? Harmony between the what is Lord created for and how we are trying to utilize it for. Then it is a Vaikuntha, also Vaikuntha. So it is within any society, such as International Society for Krishna Consciousness, with the members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, putting faith in Krishna as the center, live in harmony according to the order and principles of Bhagavad Gita, then they are living in Vaikuntha, not in this material world. So that's the glory of Srila Prabhupada that he bestowed on all of us, the Vaikuntha. Read this one. Translation, next verse.
Ramkisha,
Maybe you can continue, bro, till last one. Maybe 4 verses. You can read. You can continue.
therefore, let us consider how these two contaminated persons should be punished. The punishment should be apt, for thus benefit can eventually be bestowed upon them. Since they find duality in the existence of Vaikuntha life, they are contaminated and should be removed from this place to the material world, where the living entities have three kinds of enemies. The reason why pure souls come into the existential circumstances of the material world, which is considered to be the criminal department of the Supreme Lord, is stated in Bhagavad Gita 7 chapter verse 27. It is stated that as long as a living entity is pure, he is in complete harmony with the desires of the Supreme Lord. But as soon as he becomes impure, he is in disharmony with the desires of the Lord.
So Prabhupada, so now from the Kumara's point of view, they are considering after mentioning about their fault. Now they find duality to remove from this place to the place where there is duality, where living entities are having three kinds of enemies. These enemies are compared to lust, anger, and greed. By Acharyas and Prabhupada also explains the same. The same theme continues that because we have disharmony, that's why we are suffering here in this material world. When we develop more and more harmony with the desires of the Lord, then we can definitely promote it to spiritual world Vaikuntha. What Prabhupada mentioning here, 7:27, Icha Dvesha Samuttena, Dvanda Mohena Bharata. Because of our Icha and Dvesha, we are contaminated, then we are forced to transfer to this material world. So then what is the solution? Main thing is about we need to purify lust, anger, and greed, three enemies of this world. Then how to become harmonious? We need to train ourselves. The training in Krishna consciousness will help one to be promoted to Vaikuntha. Training in the sense that we are becoming harmonious with the desires of the Lord. That is the training. Our desires now are separate, are distinct from Lord desires. Now we are trying to harmonize with the desires of the Lord. So that's the main point. Now the reaction of Jay and Vijay, what by seeing them in such an angry mood, what the reaction of the Jay and Vijay? Please read.
When the doormen of Vaikuntha Loka, who were certainly devotees of the Lord, found that they were going to be cursed by the Brahmanas. They at once became very much afraid and fell down at the feet of the Brahmanas in great anxiety, for a Brahmana's curse cannot be counteracted by any kind of weapon.
Hmm. The proper translates the found that they were going to be cursed, but author has also mentioned after that they took a decision also and they cursed, because next translation itself shows that fact that proper translators they are already cursed. So the words are different a little bit here, but they seeing the situation, the Kumaras cursed them, and after that they realized and they fell down at the feet of the Brahmanas. That will come to know here. Yeah, see, after being cursed by sages mentioned. So that means curse is given already. Though it's mentioned here, they found that they were going to be cursed by Brahmanas. At once they became very much afraid and fell down at the feet. So but the next verse clearly mentioned that after being cursed, that means they cursed, and then they fell at the feet of the Kumaras. After being cursed, what they said? Continue.
After being cursed by the sages, the doorman said, "It is quite apt that you have punished us for neglecting to respect sages like you. But we pray that due to your compassion at our repentance, the illusion of forgetting the Supreme Personality of Godhead will not come upon us as we go progressively downward. To a devotee,
Read that.
any heavy punishment is tolerable, but the one which affects forgetfulness of the Supreme Lord, the doormen who were also devotees could understand the punishment meted out to them, for they were conscious of the great offense they had committed by not allowing the sages to enter Vaikuntha Loka. In the lowest species of life, including the animal species, forgetfulness of the Lord is very prominent. The doormen were aware that they were going to be going to the criminal department of the material world, and they expected that they might go to the lowest species and forget the Supreme Lord. They prayed, therefore, that this might not happen in the lives they were going to accept because of the curse.
So the main fear, heavy punishment, which is intolerable for a devotee, is forgetfulness of the Lord. That is the main symptom. Also, we can see, we can try to understand ourselves that when the more we are trying to remember the Lord more and more, that we are advancing. The fear itself, forgetting itself, is like becoming a fearful thought itself. So that's a very advanced stage. We are trying to remember Krishna first of all. What to speak of forgetting? We are trying to remember the Supreme Lord. We always forget, but sometimes we remember. That is the condition of us. That's me. Yeah. Continue.
At that very moment, the Lord, who is called Padmanabha, because of the lotus grown from his navel, and who is the delight of the righteous, learned about the insult offered by his own servants to the saints, accompanied by his spouse, the goddess of fortune, he went to the spot on those very feet sought for by recluses and great sages. In
So
Bhagavad
Supreme
Gita,
Lord came. Yeah, you can read the highlight portion.
the Lord could understand that the quarrel between the doormen and the sages was taking a different turn, and therefore he instantly came out of his palace and went to the spot to stop further aggravation so that his devotees, the doormen, might not be vanquished for good.
So he is knowing the situation that is happening at the door. Immediately the Lord appeared there. He understands definitely, but it's a special mercy of the Lord to show his mercy on Kumaras. That is also one of the aspects of this pastime. He wanted to show special mercy on to them also. So he came personally to the door. Yeah. Continue.
The sages headed by Sanak Rishi saw that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who was formerly visible only within their hearts in ecstatic trance, had now actually become visible to their eyes. As he came forward, accompanied by his own associates, bearing all paraphernalia, such as an umbrella and a chamar fan, the white bunches of hair moved very gently, like two swans, and due to their favorable breeze, the pearls garlanding the umbrella also moved, like drops of nectar falling from the white full moon, or ice melting due to a gust of wind.
Yeah. So whenever Lord appears, he is glorified for his beauty, for his charm, for his decorations. And that's the nature of Supreme Lord's beauty and glory also. Achaksha, Achakshataksha Vishayam. The word itself is Achakshata. He cannot be seen by the eyes, but Aksha Vishayam, but is the object of eyes. The Supreme Lord cannot be seen by ordinary eyes, but he now became visible to the eyesight of Kumaras. So though he is not being visible, he cannot be seen, but he became himself seen by the Kumaras because they are great desire. And Prabhupada explains more of the glory of the Lord, Samadhi Bhagyam, how the perfection of meditation is the Supreme Lord. The Kumaras, therefore, upon seeing the Lord coming forward with his associates, who are holding umbrella chamar, were struck with wonder that they were seeing the Lord face to face. So for an ordinary person, it's not possible, but the only special mercy of the Lord, they can see the Lord face to face. So Prabhupada mentions that just by practicing the Bhakti Yoga process, it's very easy for us also to have the darshan of the Lord. Prabhupada very beautifully mentions, for ordinary persons, the Lord is not visible. However, when one can understand the significance of his holy name and one engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord, beginning with the tongue by chanting and tasting prasad, then gradually the Lord reveals himself. Thus, the devotee constantly sees the Lord within his heart, Premanjana Churati. In a more mature stage, one can see the same Lord directly as we see everything else. So, how amazing the process is, so simple, but we need to practice more diligently and more intensely. Things are more become definitely clear and clear, as Prabhupada himself is promising here. Yeah, we'll just pause after 40. Just go through, yeah. Maybe 5 minutes more. Read this one.
The Lord is the reservoir of all pleasure. His auspicious presence is meant for everyone's benediction, and his affectionate smiling and glancing touch the core touch the core of the heart. The Lord's beautiful bodily color is blackish, and his broad chest is the resting place of the goddess of fortune, who glorifies the entire spiritual world, the summit of all heavenly planets. Thus it appeared that the Lord was personally spreading the beauty and good fortune of the spiritual world. When the Lord came, he was pleased with everyone. Therefore, it is stated here, Krishna Prasada Sumukham. The Lord knew that even the offensive doormen were his pure devotees, although by chance they committed an offense at the feet of other devotees.
So here, just for the presence of the Lord is very Krishna Prasada Sumukham. So he is pleased with everyone, to please everyone. The presence of Lord itself is pleasing to everyone. But it depends on the person, whether he is how he is reciprocating, how he is accepting that mercy. If he's envious like Shishupal, one may criticize also. That depends on living in it is free will. But whenever Lord appears, it's always pleasing to everyone. It's like here, both the Kumaras and doormen, it's pleasing to everyone presence there. And Prabhupada mentions here about offense of, then he explains about offense to a devotee, how it is affects. The Lord knew that even the offensive doormen were his pure devotees, although by chance they committed offense at the feet of the other devotees. So both are compared to devotees only, Vijay and Kumaras. But there was some misunderstanding between devotees, and the offense was there. And that's how Lord came out to settle the matter. We will see in the next chapter how it is settled by the Lord. But here is the Lord's appearance and the prayers of Kumaras. We are ending with the chapter. So here Prabhupada goes into explaining about committing offense against devotee, how it's very harmful. We need to be extremely careful. And the Lord is being equal to all, being especially inclined to his devotee, looked as mercifully at the offenders as at the offended, both. So because both are devotees, you need to please them, everyone. So this is the attitude of the Lord because of his unlimited quantity of transcendental qualities. So he's always pleasing to all devotees, especially. And he's explaining about Purniya Dham. Prabhupada explains about this Supreme Lord's position, his glory, is very much explained. His Vaikuntha. Another feature of this verse is that it openly declares where the Vaikuntha lokas are situated. This is situated beyond all these material worlds. So the glory of Vaikuntha is also explained by Prabhupada more elaborately. There. Yeah, text 40.
He was adorned with a girdle that shone brightly on the yellow cloth, covering his large hips, and he wore a garland of fresh flowers, which was distinguished by humming bees. His lovely wrists were graced with bracelets, and he rested one of his hands on the shoulder of Garuda, his carrier, and twirled a lotus with another hand. Here
So
is the full
basically here,
description.
full description of personal devoted has personally experienced messages. Prabhupada explains is a glory of Supreme Lord's features. The Lord, basically the situation is the Lord just came out from the inside his abode and came to the door where the situation is happening, where things are happening between both Kumaras and Jay and Vijay. But the beauty of Lord is so that it's so amazing. Everyone is mesmerized, and that glory is explained here. The beauty of the Lord is explained in all these verses. Personality is explained. Okay, we'll pause here. 40th verse. Maybe next week we'll try to see this aspect. But now the Lord comes, and then after explaining about the Lord's features, by also they will become mesmerized by the tulsi leaves. That famous verse comes. Famous photo also is there where the Kumaras smelling the fragrance of lotus feet and the tulsi which is there on the lotus feet. And by that they are also transformed, greatly enchanted by that. So that's the glory of Lord is explained, his features and his glory. And then they are the Kumaras glorify the Supreme Lord. That's how the chapter ends. Maybe next week we'll see. We'll continue. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.